In March, you proposed splitting up Milwaukee Public Schools into 10 to 12 autonomous districts and criticized a Barrett and Doyle plan to change the governance structure of MPS from board control to mayor control. You said that would require a strong mayor and a strong plan, neither of which the city had. Tell us how splitting the district would result in reform and better educational outcomes. Would you push for that as governor? And if there was a Milwaukee mayor of your liking, would you be for mayoral control?
A couple of different options. I literally was talking with a group of educators, some from Milwaukee today and some from suburban school districts, about some variations or alternatives to that. So one of the things we hope to do in the next week or so is to announce an overall education policy, but that'll be a part of it. It's taking that same concept but not going down exactly that same path. But again, some of that we'll follow up on because I don't want to preempt my own story on that particular item.
But will include separating the district?
No. No, it's a variation that adds the same sort of intent, but it's not quite the same as that. So again, I don't want to step on that story, and I'll get it to you in the next week or two, some of the, obviously the details both for a story and for your consideration with editorial. But the challenge I had, and I said this long before the mayor was running for governor, is I thought that was you look at the few number of places where mayoral control has worked, it's had those two key elements. And let's face it, I mean, the reality is, why did this come out? It came out under the worst of circumstances. Governor Doyle was looking for a way to grab the race to the top funds and thought this would bolster their position. At the last minute, he came to the mayor and kind of dropped it on his plate and said, we're going to do this. This wasn't done through weeks or months of consultation with the community.
The mayor floated in his first campaign?
He did, and then he backed off on it, even in the campaign, let alone after. I mean, he backed off of that about as quick as I've seen anybody back off an issue. So I think the signal with most folks was he didn't want to ever bring that up again, was reluctant to bring it up in the first place. That came up largely because Jim Doyle told him he wanted him to bring it up. To me, that's not a way to build a consensus. Anything we do in terms of fundamental changes within the Milwaukee Public School System, we're not going to do as a pronouncement from Madison. We're going to come and work with community leaders, with educators, with parents, with students, with those both within MPS and outside of MPS, to say that you can't propose any sort of change, whether it's a breakup of the district, whether it's turning it over to the mayor, whether it's some of the other alternatives we're going to be talking about. In the end, you can't do that just by plopping it and expecting everybody to just pass it. It's why, in the end, it didn't pass, because the majority of Milwaukee area lawmakers didn't support it because it didn't have that kind of community support.
Okay. Do you believe the school board governance structure works in MPS?
Well, I think it's worth looking at different options. But again, part of it is it's not just the school board. I mean, the problem there are frustrations with the current school board, but one of the problems I had is if you turned it over to a mayoral form and you didn't have a strong mayor there, the same thing happens. Now, instead of the MTA controlling a school board, they control a mayor. There's got to be other things that, frankly, give the ability of the superintendent, whoever's in charge, no matter who's calling it, more flexibility and more freedoms, particularly in districts that are under a crisis as we are in the Milwaukee public school system, to get around some of the state mandates in terms of what comes out of the Department of Public Instruction and in terms of some of the collective bargaining agreements that we've seen in other places around the country when they have done that and they've given them kind of these emergency powers to come in and really do what it takes to get things under control. That's where the focus is. And it's less so just about who's in charge. Now, sometimes, in a few of those cases, the mayor, like Mayor Daley or the mayor now in D.C. or others, giving those superintendents that power has been implicit in the takeover. But you've got those powers are really as important as who's actually ultimately in charge.